Welcome to the Bucks County Justice Center. You're here today as a prospective juror. It's both your privilege and responsibility to help maintain our legal system. This is one of the highest responsibilities we share as citizens of the United States. In this video, we'll outline what will be expected of you if you are asked to sit as a juror in a civil or criminal case. Have you been waiting for years for this opportunity to arrive? Maybe you're comparing this to other great moments of your life, such as this, or even this. Yes, we're only kidding. Most of us think of jury service more like this, or this. Maybe we won't convince you to feel happy about being summoned, but in this short video we want to show you that your jury service is a critical part of the justice system. Perhaps then you'll feel that this has been a worthwhile use of your time. You may be curious about the building you're in. As you certainly realize, it's not the first courthouse to be built in Bucks County. That first courthouse was built in the 1680s, shortly after William Penn established Bucks as a county. It was located in Falls Township, in a village called Crewcorn. Both the building and the town have since disappeared from history. In 1705, the court moved to Bristol, which had been designated as the county seat. A building was constructed there, consisting of a jail on the first floor, a courtroom on the second floor, and, grimly, a gallows projecting from the roof. The court remained in Bristol until 1726, when the county seat was moved again, this time to Newtown. Another courthouse was built there, and it's the first one we have a picture of. The final change in the county seat occurred in 1813, when, amid much controversy, the county seat was moved to Doylestown. In anticipation of this, a new courthouse was built in 1812, near the site of the present County Administration Building and former courthouse. Bucks County was growing rapidly, and after the end of the Civil War it became evident a larger facility was required. In 1877, the new courthouse opened on the site of the 1812 building. This building was sufficient for Bucks County's needs until post-World War II growth made a new building necessary. That building was dedicated in 1962 and still stands across Main Street from the building we're in right now. It's used today as the County Administration Building. Planning for the present building began in 1999, and after extensive discussion and design, the Justice Center was built and dedicated on this site in January 2015. The architects took care to design a building that was modern, yet reflected the character of Bucks County and its unique Quaker roots. As you explore the building, you'll discover design elements expressed in wood and stone that are simple, functional, and lacking intricate ornamentation. However, you won't find a gallows on the roof. This is the first courthouse in Bucks County that is dedicated solely to judicial and related functions. For that reason, we called it the Bucks County Justice Center. The realization of this vision for Bucks County justice required the collaboration of many county officials and their departments. It also required the expenditure of substantial taxpayer funds. We're proud of what the county has accomplished here, and we hope you will be too. Our hope is that this new facility will serve the needs of Bucks County and our citizens for the foreseeable future. A lot of people wonder how they've come to be selected. Your name was randomly selected from various approved public lists, such as voter rolls, licensed drivers lists, tax records, and other public records that are inclusive of all citizens, old and young, rich and poor. Here in Bucks County, we use the one-day, one-trial system. Although this increases the number of citizens summoned to serve, this system helps save money and decreases the inconvenience of serving. Not all jurors who are summoned actually hear a case. If you've been chosen for a jury, you continue to report every day until that trial is over. Please inform us if there are any address changes or if you're an employee and are paid by the Bucks County government. You've been issued a juror badge and a juror number. We'll talk more about the juror badge later. Let's talk a little about the jury system. A trial jury decides the outcome of a trial. This is the most common type of jury and the type for which you will be considered. Trial jurors serve on one of two kinds of cases, civil or criminal. A civil case is a dispute involving two or more parties. The party who initiates the lawsuit is the plaintiff. The suit is brought against the party called the defendant. These parties may be individuals, corporations, or government entities. In many civil cases, a unanimous decision is not needed for a verdict. In civil cases, the jury must decide the question of liability and the amount of monetary compensation, if any, to be awarded. A criminal case is a dispute between the Commonwealth and an individual or corporation accused of breaking the law. The district attorney's office represents the state. The party accused of the crime is the defendant. He or she is represented by an attorney referred to as defense counsel. To render a verdict in a criminal trial, the verdict must be unanimous. In addition to members of the jury, there are courtroom personnel, each of whom has, like you, an important role. The judge presides over the trial and holds each side of a case to standards of law and rules of conduct. It's a judge's duty to be impartial, giving no advantage to either side. The judge keeps the playing field of the court fair by requiring adherence to the rule of law and evidence and thoughtful instruction of law to juries. The judge rules on law, oversees verdicts, imposes sentences in criminal cases, and can award damages in civil trials. Next, we have the tipstaffs. They're responsible for maintaining order in the courtroom. They formally open the court when the judge enters the courtroom and will act according to the judge's direction. In a sense, they guard the jury and see to their needs. They call witnesses, attorneys, and other persons when needed in the courtroom. Any questions or problems you have should be brought to the attention of the tipstaff. Next are the court reporters. They record the trial testimony verbatim and then later produce a written documentation of the proceedings. They may also be called upon to read from notes in the courtroom or in the judge's chambers. Then we have the court clerks, also known as minute clerks. They're responsible for keeping accurate records of all courtroom proceedings and for swearing in all witnesses and members of the jury. Last but not least, a uniformed deputy sheriff may be assigned to the courtroom for security purposes. Now that you know the principal parties, let's get back to the jury. There are days when, for a variety of reasons, delays occur in the conduct of jury trials, and jurors may not be used at all. Yet the jury trial is so essential to our legal system that jurors must be available and prepared to be impaneled on short notice. A juror's time has not been wasted when a civil trial ends in a settlement or a criminal case in a guilty plea. Even parties who thought they would never settle do so when faced with a jury trial. The idea of appearing before a judge and jury, or even the presence of a jury, motivates settlements or other resolutions. The first stage in the actual trial of a jury case is to conduct the voir dire examination for the purpose of obtaining a jury panel. The term voir dire comes from Old French, meaning to speak the truth. It's a preliminary examination of prospective jurors by the judge and the attorneys to determine if you can be impartial. They may be questioning you on your background, your education, occupation, and whether you know any of the people involved in the case, such as the lawyers, their clients, their witnesses, or anything about the facts of the case itself. During voir dire, an attorney may object to a prospective juror for a specific reason, such as prior knowledge of the case, or possible sympathy or prejudice which the attorney feels might affect the juror's objectivity. This is called a challenge for cause. There are also peremptory challenges, where an attorney does not need to explain why he objects to a possible juror. Through this process, the lawyers will help to ensure a fair trial. A juror who's excused should not take it as a personal insult or rejection. Once you're selected as a juror, we ask you to maintain a responsible and dignified manner. Your role is an important one and worthy of your respect. Please wear clothing that is appropriate for the occasion. Dress as you would expect to dress for a very important job interview. You'll be instructed to turn off all electronic devices before entering the courtroom. Remember to wear your juror badge at all times. This badge clearly identifies you as a juror and serves as a reminder to others not to talk about a pending case in your presence. Generally, after the jury is selected, the trial begins. Once on a jury, it's your duty to act fairly and impartially. The judge may begin with some opening remarks, followed by opening speeches by the attorneys. Witnesses will then be called and questioned. This process is known as the direct and cross-examination. Most of the evidence you'll hear is witness testimony. Documents or other non-testimonial evidence may also be offered. Listen carefully and don't prejudge. Wait until you've heard all of the evidence before you start forming any conclusions. After the evidence has been introduced, the attorneys will give their closing arguments. Closing arguments are not evidence, just the counsel's interpretation of the facts. The judge will then charge or instruct the jury on the law that applies in the case. The judge is the final authority on the law, and the jury must accept the law exactly as the judge presents it. After you've been instructed by the judge, the jury is then escorted to the jury room for deliberation. The jury room is a private room where the jury is free to discuss the case and reach a decision. The jurors may talk to no one except the judge if they have any questions. Your first job will be to select a foreperson. The foreperson is a jury discussion leader during the deliberations. This person will encourage a full exchange of comments, opinions, and observations from all members of the jury. This person will communicate any requests or questions on behalf of the jury to the judge in the courtroom. The foreperson is also responsible for managing the balloting. In your deliberations, there may be differences of opinion and disagreements. You, the jurors, should analyze the evidence, decide the facts from the evidence presented, apply the rules of law that the judge has given you, and then vote on your verdict. You should also know that it's a violation of your duty as a juror to conduct your own investigation of the case. Do not visit any location described, or try to question witnesses on your own. Under no circumstances are you to research or access information about the case through the internet or any form of social media. You could be found in contempt of court if you violate any of these restrictions. The lawyers in the trial bear the complete responsibility for presenting the evidence. Until a verdict has been recorded in the courtroom, do not listen to radio, watch television, or read newspaper accounts of your case. Do not research the case online, and do not communicate anything about the case through social media. Don't speak to anyone about the case, even after you leave the Justice Center. This includes your family, friends, and even your fellow jurors. If anyone tries to discuss this case with you, politely refuse and tell court officials immediately. The only time you're permitted to discuss the case is when you are sent to the jury room to deliberate with fellow jurors. It's a serious offense to attempt to influence a juror. After the jury has reached a verdict, the jury returns to the courtroom and announces the verdict. The verdict is the final decision of the jury. In a criminal case, the verdict is guilty or not guilty. In a civil case, the verdict is either for the plaintiff or for the defendant. If the verdict is for the plaintiff, the jury may be required to make a decision about any financial damages awarded. The jury must keep the verdict secret until the judge requests it in open court. The attorneys may want the jury polled. This means they will ask each juror for his or her vote to ensure that no mistakes were made or unfair pressure applied by other jurors. You will be paid according to the fees set and fixed by state law. You may also donate to certain designated charities. You may donate for one day, and if you're selected for a trial, you may continue to donate through the length of the trial. You'll receive proof of jury service. You may turn your proof of jury service over to your employer, or you may keep it for your records. While waiting, you may write, read, use laptop computers, or engage in other quiet activities. However, you are not to read or watch any local news or access social media while serving on jury duty. Whether you serve on a jury or not, you are serving your community. Your participation is what makes our justice system work. Jury duty is one of the few constitutional rights that every citizen has the opportunity to experience. It remains an American bond. It connects people across class, national origin, religion, and race. jury experience exists as one of the remaining connecting threads in a wonderfully diverse United States. It links us to our founding principles and challenges us to live up to them. Every time you serve as a juror, you become closer to this constitutional spirit. And every time you reflect on and appreciate these principles, you strengthen our constitutional character. That is the joy of jury duty. We hope your experience will be a positive one. Thank you for your service.